When I was 8 years old, I was told by my neurologist, "You are a miracle child." Although that sounds cool, I didn't know exactly what it meant, which began a lifelong journey for me to understand this statement in relation to my medical condition. This is the story of my battle with septo-optic dysplasia and how it has guided my life. Septo-optic dysplasia, according to the U.S. National Library of Medicine, is an early brain disorder which includes three main characteristics: an underdeveloped pituitary gland, an underdeveloped optic nerve in the eye, and abnormal formations in the brain, all three of which I have. I have an underdeveloped pituitary gland. My left eye has an underdeveloped optic nerve, which means no one should sneak up on me. And then finally, I have a hole in my brain. It's about the size of a nickel, and it's a great factoid for me. But the craziest thing is I didn't even know I had this condition for 8 years. You see, when I was born, doctors thought I had a lazy eye in this left eye. And then I proceeded to have 3 eye surgeries on it by the time I was 3 years old. And by the time I did find out I had septo-optic dysplasia, I didn't even feel like anything was wrong, because life seemed pretty normal for me at 8 years old. And life continued to be normal until I was 11. On a hot summer evening when I was 11 years old, I had just finished playing tennis with my family and was drinking some Gatorade. Next thing I knew, my ears started ringing, and then I became nauseous and not fully aware of my situation. Therefore, I turned to my left and was trying to grab the tennis net beside me, and I was screaming for help to my family because I had no idea what the situation I was in. I had never felt like this before. This was the first time I had a seizure. Although at the time, at the ER later that night, it was diagnosed as passing out from dehydration, this was the beginning of something much worse. From that moment on, I passed out in a multitude of different situations, from while being out with friends, to Skype calls with family, and even more scarily, while in the shower. At this point, it was beyond dehydration. And in fact, it took till late 2017 to figure out I had seizures. More specifically, focal seizures, which are seizures that affect a particular part of the brain. And this diagnosis helped me discover that I wanted to go to ASU and be close to family in case something went wrong. In fact, I still do deal with seizures to this day. My last one, in fact, was 2 weeks ago, the day it was announced that I would be on this stage tonight. I actually didn't even hear of my accomplishment until I woke up from a recovery nap a couple hours later. Yet, when you ask my friends to describe me, the first thing they will tell you is I always have a glass half full mentality. And then they always ask me, how do I do it? How is it possible? The first thing I tell them is that I'm truly grateful for each day I live. I go on to tell them that most people with my condition don't get an opportunity to go to an accredited 4-year university like ASU and be on the dean's list while doing it. And then I end by telling them that my goal each morning when I wake up is to live that day to the fullest, because no matter what odds are going to face me that day, I know I can overcome them. Which brings me back to, you are a miracle child. What does it mean? Well, in relation to my medical condition, it means I'm going to take this condition heads on, and I'm going to fight it, and I'm going to tame it to where I get to live my life without fear of it. But more importantly, I learned that applies to all of us. You, me, everyone. We all face great obstacles in our lives, and we all have the ability to overcome them and make ourselves better from them. Because in the end, we are all miracle children. Thank you very much.